All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of the Play Hard, Look Dope podcast with your hosts, Ebony and John, who's going to be joining us shortly after this intro. We've got another jam-packed episode for you guys. We hope that you guys enjoyed the first one. This one's going to be a little bit of a continuation where we talk about issues that are going on in New York City. Plus, we react to some social media issues that we've been seeing on our For You page and on our timeline since the last time you saw us here. One of the big things that we are going to be talking about today is the congestion pricing that the city is imposing on anyone who wants to go below 60th Street. We're going to talk about where that money is actually going and why that even had to happen. And I'm going to be honest with you right now, it has nothing to do with the congestion in New York City. We're also going to be talking about one of Manhattan's biggest malls that are closing due to crime, theft, and the city not keeping up on its promises to help maintain safety in the mall and in the area around it. All that and more on today's episode. Before we get into the episode, I would like to ask you guys to subscribe to our channel. It helps us out so much. It's a free thing that you can do, and you can also turn on the notifications to get notified every single time that we post a video. You can also follow our podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts as well. Listen to it while you're driving, walking, working out, cleaning, whatever you like to do. We are available on Spotify, Apple, and YouTube. This episode is sponsored by John and I's small business lifestyle jewelry and apparel brand. You guys can check out our website at PlayHardLookDope.com to find the highest quality natural gemstone jewelry, as well as stainless steel jewelry, sterling silver jewelry, leather, apparel, men's, women's, unisex, bracelets, necklaces, earrings, anklets. We have everything available for you at our website. You guys will be supporting a small business, so make sure you check that out. The link is available in our bio. And if you're actually in New York City, you can come and visit our store located in the Lower East Side of Manhattan, New York. The address is 45 First Avenue between East 2nd and East 3rd Street. Without further ado, John's sitting here looking at me, waiting for my intro to wrap up. Let's get into the show. Welcome back to another episode of the Play Hard, Look Dope podcast. I'm your host, Ebony, with
John.
John.
Hey, John.
Hey, John.
We had a few versions of Hey, John.
We have like too many inside jokes, you guys. But as always, in season 2, we are going to always start the episode off on a positive note because we know that we talk about some heavy things, but we also talk about funny things, but more so social issues going on, which are pretty heavy. So as always, give us the highlights of your day, John.
So yesterday I went for acupuncture, which was fucking phenomenal. I have a problem with tennis elbow, golf elbow, even though I don't play either one. I have played tennis and I'm really good at it. But
who are you even looking at?
I don't know. I'm looking at anybody. Anybody wants to look back. Okay. And so I went for acupuncture. So I felt like $100 today, man. The first time in forever. Normally I feel like $5. So it was phenomenal. And I had a terrific workout, which kicked off the day. And then I had a nice hot shower, and I walked to our store with you on live, which was phenomenal. Packed a few orders, got shit done, and now I'm doing a podcast 2 hours after I was ready. So yeah, how was your day?
So was that like a highlight, or like then it just dropped down?
Highlights and lowlights, all part of a day.
Okay.
How was your day?
I mean, this part is not really about me. I had a good day. Any day with you and above ground is a good day.
Ooh. And we are native New Yorkers, so we actually love New York. We want nothing but the best for New York City. And it used to be the best city.
Yeah.
Now it's like a shitty city, like a lot of cities.
What is going on with the congestion pricing? Because John has a little bit of a better understanding than I do about it.
Yeah, I was reading up on it. And if you come in below New York City, south of 60th Street, which is like 60th all the way to the end of New York City, you're going to get hit with a $15 toll in a car. That's insane $15 toll. If you're in a taxi, it's like $2.50. Uber, $2.50. Motorcycle has its own rate. A small truck is $24. A large truck is $36. They don't tell you that large trucks are delivering to restaurants. So what's that going to do? That's going to raise the price the restaurant has to charge to anybody who visits the restaurant. They don't tell you that. People are like, oh, that's inflation, that's inflation, that's inflation. But why is there inflation? It's because prices have gone up. It doesn't necessarily mean the price of avocado's gone up. The price of bringing avocado and anything else into the city has gone up. And that is insanity. But the reason it's going up is to support, not anything to do with the roads or anything like that. Normally, like when you raise the price of something, like to bring money into the city on roadways, it would go to the roads, right? Fill potholes, blah, blah, blah. This is going to the MTA. And why does the MTA have a shortfall? Well, one of the reasons could be 50% of riders jumping the turnstile. Is that insanity? So we allow people to jump the turnstile, and then we raise the price on anybody coming below 60th Street with the toll that's going to raise the price of every restaurant. And that's going to put a lot of restaurants and small businesses out of business. So it's like, how does that work? Should we continue to allow these people to jump the turnstile? Or should we say, no, don't jump the turnstile, and maybe we don't need to put this tax, and it's a tax. Do we need to really tax $15 to every car that comes in here? Why would somebody from New Jersey now come over the George Washington Bridge, come into New York City to have a dinner when they're automatically paying $15 more? Why couldn't they come in for not paying the $15 and leave an extra tip to somebody who's actually working hard? Why? So we can support people jumping turnstiles? I don't know. It just irks me.
So then, I mean, I feel like it sounds like the city is portraying it like it's to lower the congestion. We're going to make it quieter on the streets, but literally we're not doing anything about the level of sound of the sirens. They're saying that.
And you researched that.
I researched. So I will double check on this, and I will make sure I put the proper information up on this video. But New York City is well over the required sound level of emergency vehicles. And compared to any other state, I understand New York City is louder by nature when it's really not louder by nature. It's louder by people being freaking loud. It's not, it just doesn't happen to be loud. You have to make something loud. They're just saying that it's gonna reduce the amount of traffic, which of course it is, because now if you're gonna charge me $15, I'm not going to my favorite restaurant uptown. I'm not going to my friend's birthday. I'm not going to the same church that I used to go to. If every single week I'm going to be charged this extra tax, it adds up.
They're trying to get people to, instead of driving in, ride the subway.
Because the subway is losing money because people are stealing.
Totally. But then what happens on the subway?
Well, all the crime.
Right.
Well, so then there was a recent interview with Mayor Adams on the Breakfast Club, and he was saying that compared to the 4 million riders a day, there's probably 6 crimes that happen. And he's like, that's not a lot. And I'm like, that's inaccurate. That's 6 crimes reported to you.
Totally.
That is not the amount of crimes that go unreported or just ignored, or just like, not even, maybe they see something and they just stop it there and they don't send it in unreported, are far more than 6 per day. And I mean, the cleanliness, the smell, I mean,
all the people sleeping all over.
Yeah, the people sleeping. I mean, oh my gosh, it can go on and on. So they're pushing. They're trying to slowly force people to take public transportation, to put the money back in the pockets of the MTA by taxing people for driving. And they're hiding it under, we're going to make this better for you, which is what the government always does. They just say, like, we're going to make this better for you, but it's really better for us because we're going to make more money somewhere. And you don't think any of that money is going back into the people, the lobbyists, the politicians.
And it's, don't ask us questions, just go with what we say.
Just pay it. And I mean, the union bosses, the MTA is a union, right? One of the most powerful unions.
Totally, absolutely.
And you don't think that they're going to be skimming a little off the top of this?
Right. And they also say it's going to employ over 250,000 people.
Where?
Which is
How?
all the MTA people.
So it still raises the money for the union boss's pockets.
Totally.
The more employees they have, the more that they can exploit and extort their employees with the union fees going on. I mean, you pay a fee to be in the union.
Totally.
So they need more of you. Why not? If I'm at the top, I'm like, get in, come on in. They're going to do a really good job at just convincing a lot of people that it's just better. They're like, the bike lane's going to be safer.
Right.
I mean, you're going to.
But if you do your own digging, and we always encourage you guys, do your own digging, do your own research. Don't take what we say for face value. Especially don't take the politicians for face value.
Yeah.
Do your research.
The thing is, a lot of people, there's two sides, right? There's like inflation, and you can blame it on things like this, like the government putting stuff in place. And then a lot of people say, well, it's because of corporate greed.
Totally.
Bothers me so much.
Right.
A corporation does not want to raise their prices because it creates competition, and someone can go in and undercut them and steal their customers. It's not there's no incentive for a corporation to raise their price.
Absolutely.
We are a small business. There's no incentive. Like, why would I want to raise the price on this bracelet? I would have less of a circle of buyers for it. And then someone can come in and undercut me. Mm-hmm. So for people, when they say, oh, it's just corporate greed, it's like, well, now it costs more to get this gemstone imported.
Corporations are always free market. So the government doesn't allow free market. One way, by artificially telling you what the wage has to be.
Correct.
The minimum wage, which is an artificial wage.
Right.
So if a corporation could pay a fair value for a fair job, they would wind up paying more money to less people for the same job.
Right.
You understand
that?
Yeah,
that's if I had 4 employees, I would pay you more than if I had 12 employees. Now I have to cut your rates because I have more of you to pay.
Absolutely.
And then, but that would create more jobs, though.
I would totally, because then the corporation would want to make more money. Then they would expand.
They would create another job.
Then they would hire more people, and those more people would be making more money.
I mean, like, so if you think about it, the government is so big.
So big.
So big. But they have different levels. Because they're so big and they take everyone else's money. They have the money to have the levels. When you squeeze the money out of a small business by, let's say, because there's two sides to the argument always. When you squeeze the money out of the small business and you make the minimum wage, let's just $20 an hour, $25. Now you're squeezing the small business. They can't afford to pay 15 people $25 an hour. Right. They can afford to pay 2 people $25 an hour.
Or they go out of business.
So now I'm just going to fire all of you. Go find a job
for the government.
Or a big corporation, which doesn't help small business.
But do big corporations help the government?
Yes, because they elect the politicians. They get the politicians into office because they donate to the politician 100%.
Biggest lobbyists.
So big business and politicians are partners.
Totally.
Small businesses are on their own, and we depend on the public. But what happens is, and I understand, like, there's two sides, right? There's the person who's working and they're not making enough to support their lifestyle, but also as someone who is an employer, this is the cost of the job.
Mm-hmm. And this is what we can.
This afford. Is what we. It's not even just like this is what we can afford. This is, people think that small businesses make up a random price to pay people. You look at the entire job description and you say, what is this worth? And that's
and what can we afford?
And if I'm just going to be cleaning these pictures, is that worth $30 an hour? No. That's why there's entry-level jobs and there's other jobs. I have been in positions where I have made in New York City 10 years ago, I think $7.25 an hour, whatever the bare minimum was, and I got 4 hours a day, 3 days a week. I didn't go to my boss and be like, I can't afford to live. Well, what lifestyle do you want to live? What lifestyle are you trying to live? That's not the responsibility of your employer.
But the employer does need to pay a fair wage.
Yes, a fair wage. And they have to pay what the minimum is, right? But if you keep having the people on the top stomping on the people on the bottom, forcing them to pay more, look at you and I. We're at the store all the time.
Totally, because we can't.
I can't afford to pay somebody. So I'm here, and people ask us all the time. They're like, "You guys are always at the store. Do you have a day off?" No. What? No. I would love to be able to pay somebody to be here full time so I could grow my business. But I'm working at the same time while trying to grow. And
if we could grow, right, then we'd hire more people.
If we could grow, we could hire more people. Right. I would totally hire somebody to take over the 17 jobs that I do, the 25 jobs that you do. But you can't grow because So I think that there's a lot of conversation that's not even allowed to be had with businesses and the public, because people have a point of view that it's corporate greed and there's no incentive for the corporation to want to keep their prices high. Whole Foods prices are dropping. I've been going there for 2 years every single week. I kind of know. I pointed out to you that this whole area that used to be the checkout where people would check you out,
Right.
now it's all self-checkout. So Whole Foods was like, okay, you want to raise the minimum wage? There were like 30, there were 20 checkout lines. They got rid of 18 of them. They fired 18 people at one location in Manhattan, replaced it with a robot called self-checkout. And now they can lower their price for the consumer at the expense of the job of the employee.
So going back to what we said, if the wage was not artificially raised,
Right.
those people probably would have still had a job.
Yeah, they would have still, yeah.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
and everyone can always find a job somewhere else, right? I
Right.
mean, but why, like, we all know how frustrating it is to try to find a job.
Yep.
You know, especially when it's shrinking. The Fulton Mall is closing due to, and then we
Fulton
went there
Mall
before.
we went to.
Yes, yes.
Holy shit. So we used to be in the Oculus in the Westfield Mall in New York City. We're only there for a few months. We had a kiosk. You had an incident there with a repeat offender.
I did.
Right.
I was there. So apparently the Fulton Mall they're renting from the city, and they had plans to be built, and they were delayed 11 years because of the city. 11. You tell someone you're going to be finished on this day, and then it's 11 years later. They took the city to court. They did win that because they were 11 years. 11 years.
Yeah. What if you tell your boss? The boss,
sorry,
like,
I can't.
I want that assignment on my desk tomorrow.
I'll give it to you in 11 years
later.
Are you kidding me? This same mall, they own or manage another mall that is almost like down the street, and they're thriving.
So Westfield manages malls in every one of your neighborhoods, everywhere in the country. They're one of the biggest mall operators.
Yeah.
Them and Simon Properties.
I mean, they are like $1 billion corporation. It's not like I'm feeling bad for them. It's not like I'm really feeling bad for them. But you have the businesses inside that have had to close due to theft, due to the homelessness that has taken place inside of there, and due to the city's lack of providing resources to secure and reassure the safety of the employees and businesses there. And so now the city is going to sue them for ending their lease early. But it's kind of like, how did you not take care of this?
Right.
So they have allowed smash and grabs. I mean, it's poorly designed. I mean, everything's right, but they have like 75 doors right there, and then they have all of the places. But
yeah, but when they designed it, there wasn't a whole lot of crime in New York.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they didn't have
there wasn't
the forecast of crime.
Right, totally. And there's a lot of like fast food stores like Shake
There's like
Shack
Haagen-Dazs, I think Annie Ann's, like
the donut, Krispy Kreme,
yeah,
Dunkin' Donuts, all that.
And they're all pulling out.
They're all pulling out because their tip cups are getting stolen.
Yeah, and so the city has said in their lawsuit that they have warned that if they pull out, it will be detrimental to New York City, and that they would be suing for lost revenue, just like everything. Like, because then the subway goes through there. Now, what are you going to put through this? Like, it's just going to be it's going to be a free fall.
Yeah, it's going to be.
Think about it when all that closes and all of those trains release into there, and now there's nothing there. Imagine the amount of resources and police you would have to put there now. The city.
First of all, the police, no offense, don't do anything.
Right.
They just stand there. Well, but
now
watch.
You're going to have to just pay even more of them to stand there and watch, because now there's going to be like nothing there. Everything's going to be closed. It's like entering out.
Yeah, but so then why didn't they just do that before?
Very true. So what do you think that the mall is in the right to want to cut their lease? There's going to be a lot of people that lose their jobs.
Right.
There's going to be a lot of businesses that fire their employees, the ones that are subleasing.
We get
from
crazy people coming in here all the time. Nobody protects us.
Mm-hmm.
So true. If we had safety and police presence and police who actually did something, and not only that, it's the higher ups. Mm-hmm. If the mayor or whoever else, the assembly people, the governor, if they did something about the crime, right? I mean, how many times can you do the same thing before it's like, are you kidding me? So you mug somebody 15 times and you're back on the street. It's like, at what point does it need to stop? What point?
That's so interesting.
At what point?
I have something to show you here. I'm going to show you this video of a man on the train having an episode. And then I'm going to show you, I don't even know like what to call it, but this is obviously an episode. And then I'm going to show you a video from the woman who was captured sitting next to him when this was happening, okay? Okay, so that's one video. There's another video of him going up to people that were sitting down doing that same motion.
Right.
And like kind of like...
So if somebody punched him in the face...
Well, hold on. So yeah, so there was another video of him going up to people and kind of flinching at them like he was going to like punch them in the face. Now, this is a video of the woman who was sitting next to him. And I cut it because it was too long, but this is one of her main points of the video.
What was really telling about the comments in that video though was that nobody had empathy for the guy. Where is the empathy for somebody who has no support? Why is he having that episode on the subway?
Did you hear that?
Oh, yeah, I agree. Right.
So she was saying in her video that was reposted a lot and that a lot of people agreed with. They were like, you're right. Like this person's having an episode outside. Most of us scream inside our homes. We have a place to scream and act out in a private space where no one sees it. She was saying, why don't we show some care and love to this person instead of trying to be afraid of this person? And my thing that I thought was, what are we paying the government for?
Well, right.
We pay the government for empathy.
Totally.
It's not, I get it in a spiritual sense and in a human sense to have empathy. My version of empathy is to just not with you. Like, I'm not going to do any harm. I'm not going to be an evil person, but I don't know if I'm going to go up and like coddle and hold that person and be like, what's wrong?
But what was her empathy? Did she go
that's
up
what
and
I said. That's what I was thinking. No, she just sat there and she went to the public and said, well, where's everyone's empathy? I'm like, where was yours?
Totally. Why didn't she take him home?
What were you doing?
She should have taken him home.
By you ignoring him is doing everything everyone else did. You did the same thing everyone else did. We pay the government for empathy.
I love it.
I'm like, I am not sitting here working every day, giving you my taxes for me to also then be empathetic and take this person inside and like care for them. My job is to ignore you and not get involved with what you're doing. But I'm sorry, I pay the politicians and the government for the empathy. They should be setting up the shelters. They should be hiring people for the homeless
getting
outreach.
Them mental
they
health.
Should be the ones. I'm giving you money to give to them to have empathy. Empathy are your therapists, your food
and
banks.
they should get that, and they deserve that.
100%.
And they deserve that.
100%. This person is out here like obviously something is wrong.
Right. Or that's besides the point.
Right. But obviously something is wrong. No genuine human being wants to see another human being because they had to get to that point. That's a long road to get to that point. Mm-hmm. Anyone can possibly get to, I mean, it might take a little bit long, but everyone was like...
Shorter with drugs, so.
Of course, there's a choice. There's a choice. Yeah, there's a choice.
Right.
But so in that situation, and I didn't even show you the video where he was going up to people like flipping out. That was on another person's video that we both follow that we're friends with. He showed that video and he was just saying, what are you to do in that? Because we saw what happened when the last guy stepped in.
That? I want to know. Don't tell me.
He showed the other video where he was going up to women, spitting in their face, flipping out.
I mean, then you get punched in the face. You get punched in the face.
Right, but now, so the question that people said were, well, if somebody did something, what if it turns out like the other guy?
Totally.
So everybody in the comments were just like, why is nobody doing anything? Why is nobody helping?
Wait, what? You can't have it both ways.
Like, the last person who thought he was helping wound up doing more than helping.
Bad
so
shit.
now what are your thoughts on that? As someone who doesn't always take the subway, but I know that you jump into situations to help people. And I'm always the one looking at you like, babe, do not help them. Because if something happens, you're going to be on the news and your life is going to be ruined.
It's like a spur of the moment thing. And it's like if somebody's doing bad shit to somebody, especially if it's like a woman and they're like screaming or spitting or what, I mean, you do what you got to do. You interject, you get involved.
So you would get involved naturally.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like even with the way the narrative is these days.
You don't think about that. It's like it's spur of the moment. Mm-hmm. This person could be in danger, so you go in there and you're not thinking, oh my God, they're mentally ill. Let me not do anything. The mentally ill people flip out, right?
Yeah.
Some regular people who are not mentally ill flip out.
Totally. I flip out all the time.
Right.
Like,
So if somebody needs to be calmed down, and if you need a 1-2 or an uppercut, that's what you get.
I feel like in that moment,
And that's what it is. It's that moment.
you know, like in the video, everyone was so desensitized that they were just sitting next to him while this was happening. The trust that people have in the public, this is what I don't understand. People are like, don't trust anyone. I'm like, you trust everyone. You be on the subway sitting right next to a guy going crazy. You trust everyone.
It's not normal for somebody to be screaming in somebody's face.
It's not normal. Right.
It's just like it's not normal for a guy to have and walk in the back room of a school.
That's not normal.
That's not normal,
no, something's obviously
so
wrong.
Either you choose to get involved or you don't.
And you would choose to get involved.
In both situations, yes.
Yeah.
It's not normal and you shouldn't be doing that. And if you're doing that, there's something wrong with you. And at either level, there is something wrong with you and it needs to be stopped.
Very
and
true.
there's no excuse for that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the comments were very like, people should be nicer to this person. And I'm like, you guys must not have seen the other video where he literally spit in a woman's face. And she just like wiped it off and went back on her phone. I'm like, are you?
I mean, that's
stop
the problem.
the train right now.
People do the same thing over and over and over again. I mean, what do you think of that? When someone does the same bad thing 10, 12, 15 times.
Yeah, I think it's a pattern, and I think that I'm not a math
mathematician.
Yes, thank you.
No, you're not. You're not.
But I also think that
speakologist either.
I'm not a speakologist. But is there something like about patterns in math or something?
Yeah,
if you go far enough,
statistically,
right? There's a pattern. So
I mean, what do you guys think? If you do something wrong once, I assume you get okay.
Yeah.
You did this wrong. We've all fucked up. We've done something wrong. You get a second chance.
Right.
Your second chance, does it turn into a third chance? Does it turn into a fourth chance? At what point do you not get another chance?
Yeah.
At what point, guys? At what point?
So I know that you pointed out that.
Yeah, no, I find this interesting because one of our politicians who is...
Are you pulling up the receipts right now, John?
No, I'm pulling it up right now. And I don't want to say his name, but his name is Hastings.
I don't want to say his name, but his name is Hastings.
No, he's an elected official of the New York State Assembly. And this is what he said last week. So the Retail Association, which has unionized...
I didn't even know there was such a thing.
Right. So they're in the supermarkets, Walgreens, every retail person.
CVS as well?
CVS,
Wow.
yeah, all these big. They've unionized.
I didn't know that.
And they've asked for a penalty if somebody comes in and beats the shit out of the worker.
Sounds perfectly reasonable.
Penalty, right?
There should be.
So
they should be penalized, is what they're asking.
They should be penalized, right? So he clearly stated last week that a plan to impose tougher penalties on criminals who attack retail workers won't work because, and get this, because raising penalties is not a deterrent on crime. So let's think about that. He's saying if there are penalties, it's not a deterrent. So if that's the case, then why have parking tickets? Why have speeding tickets?
Oh, good point.
Why have any of that?
Why have late fees on taxes?
Exactly.
Why have late fees on rent?
On loans.
On loans.
Right.
Why have overdraft fees if penalties don't deter the crime? Oh my gosh.
Totally.
What is he
no one
about?
has said that.
Why? What is he talking about?
No one has said what I'm saying right now.
But they just agree with him?
Yeah, they all agree with him.
So they think that if somebody harms a retail worker,
or anybody.
But this is the retail association, right?
Point, no, right. But and he's in charge of all the crime, and he believes that you should be able to commit crimes, and the penalties should not get higher if you continuously do it.
Of
which
course
is
it
mind-boggling
should.
to me.
Of course it should. What
Mind-boggling.
about sports? Okay, you show up late to practice. Give me 10 push-ups.
Totally.
You show up 2 days to practice. You're sitting out the first quarter. You show
Third
up
time, you get suspended.
You're suspended. You're
a
done.
day's
What
pay.
the fuck? What
Totally.
happens in the school system?
Totally.
You don't do
And
your
then don't
homework.
you
You
stop?
get detention.
Right.
Don't you stop?
Right.
So he's
Right.
saying that no longer
He
everything
said
that you've been taught
penalties
in
do
life.
not deter criminals. You
Okay,
throw
hold on,
somebody
hold on,
in
hold on,
jail
hold on.
one fucking time.
Hold on.
And we know 2 people ourselves
Yes.
that were thrown in jail
Yeah.
and they never wanted to go back again.
Yes, we know
When you go back 18, 21 times, the guy who killed the cop
No, hold on.
had been arrested 21 times.
He is saying that penalties do not deter criminals. What he's basically saying is that everything that has a consequence doesn't deter the criminal.
That's what he's saying, yeah.
So then what does he think should happen? Has he said anything that he thinks should happen?
That's all he said. That's all he said.
That's it?
Yeah, that's all he said.
He had
Yeah.
like nothing even
No,
like, well, what do you think, sir?
And-
like
and
nobody was
so-
like, well, what do you think,
and
sir?
So they, our governor, what's her name? Hoskell, whatever her name is.
Hochul.
Hochul. She's tried to get rid of the bail reform.
Oh, so wait, she wanted it though, right?
She wanted to get rid of it now because it's not working. And he is like, no.
Well, what did she think was going to happen? She thought it was going to work to let people right back on the street after they
Totally.
did something?
And the same guy is responsible from bringing the adult age for felonies from 16 to 18. So now if you're under 18, it's harder to prosecute this person.
Well, I guess I get that because 18 is a legal adult then.
yeah, but
right?
if you do something insane at 16
Right, like those that we saw
Criminally.
on the yeah.
and you shoot somebody,
Well-
you should
well-
not be treated like a child.
Well, I don't know though because that if the legal age is 18, then the legal age is 18. Like you can't
But he's
just be
the
like
one
it's
who
legal
bumped
for
it up
this
from
and then
16
legal
to
for
18.
not that.
He's the one who bumped it up.
No, I mean yeah, but that makes sense to me.
To bump it up.
Yeah, if you're an
No, I
adult,
don't
then you're an
think so.
adult.
I totally disagree.
Should.
If you make somebody expire,
Yeah.
should your age matter?
But then what are they going to do about the legal age?
It
you
should
can't
not
be an
matter.
adult for some things and then an adult for not some things. That's why I never agreed when they were like, you're 21, you can like drink, but you're 25, you can rent a car. Like an adult is adult. You should be able to do everything at 18. That's just my point
So
of view
you're
on
just
that.
picking an arbitrary age of 18.
Well, they made the law as in America, I think 18 is a legal adult. So then I think that everything should be like at that number. That's just me. Like you
So
shouldn't wait till 21 to drink.
if somebody
shouldn't wait till 25 to
15 grabs this thing and does that,
Well, no. I think they
be
should
okay.
go away
They should
for
be okay.
life.
Okay, that's what I'm saying.
It should still be a life thing.
So
the
they
age
should be
shouldn't
treated
be
as an adult. That's my
right,
point.
but okay, so the word adult in that context to me never made sense. So if someone is 5 years old or 6 years old and they do something, they should go like that and they should go away for life. I don't
Okay,
think the
then we're
word
saying the same
adult,
thing.
I don't think
Okay.
the word adult should apply when it comes to heinous crimes. It shouldn't be like, oh, well, they're 14, blah, 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 right? But since they have that law then, they would either have to get rid of it in terms of all heinous crimes or stand by it because it's the law. They cannot pick and choose, and they are picking and choosing in that sense. He's saying, well, now I want to raise it. No. Make it so any...
Well, he did.
So
Not
anything
why,
that
he did.
is in the first degree, in the second degree, any age, you go away for life.
So I was at Walgreens the other day, and I was talking to somebody who was a retail staff member, employee, working on the floor. And I was like, what do you guys think? So if you, I don't know if it's the same thing in every city or what, but if you walk into Walgreens or CVS or any one of those type of stores, you need to get somebody and wait 10, 15 minutes to get toothpaste.
Oh, I had to do that with my facial wash. I rang the
Recently.
bell recently,
there's
right
a
over
bell
there.
now. There's a
a
bell.
bell right over there on by Katz's
Rite Aid.
Deli, CVS.
Oh, that's CVS,
I
yeah.
rang the bell. There were 3 of us in line, and I'm like, "Why is this?
Right.
What is this?"
Right.
Like, I know what it is, but I'm just like, and like she came over, you know, she did her thing, and I'm just like, "We're 3 of us in line. Like, now can you open this?" And I'm like, "Yo, like I don't have time."
So the person I was talking to, he's like, this is so ridiculous. He's like, now we lock up the goods, but we don't lock up the criminals.
Right.
I was like, that is prophetic. Prophetic?
Profound.
That
is not
That is
prophetic.
prosthetic. That is profound.
Prophetic.
That is profound.
No, I mean, why though? But the people that have to bear the consequence are the people like me who is going and I'm trying to buy. Everything's locked
Well,
up.
what about the people who work there that have to see day after day after day people stealing shit,
the morality
right?
changes.
And
Your
just
morality
running
changes.
out.
Yeah.
Or walking out. There's
Like
no
the guy who comes in and
consequences.
buys chains from us, he is a security guard at Whole Foods.
Totally.
And he tells you, he's like, yo, it wears on you every day to see people just steal.
He's
every
an older
day.
Hispanic guy,
Yeah.
and like
He's so
been
sweet.
through shit, right? He's so fucking
I think he was like
sweet.
in the army or something.
He was
like,
in
wasn't
the
he?
yeah,
He was like
in the military. He was in the
yeah.
military. He was in security.
And he's like, he told us, he was like, it just wears on you. It wears on you to see people doing wrong. Because it's a natural, I feel like most people are born good. We have the psychopaths
Totally.
and sociopaths that are raised by psychopaths and sociopaths. But for the majority of us, like, you know right from wrong.
Totally.
Like most people, if you were like 10 years old and you go out with your friends and you guys want to like, you guys steal a pack of gum at the register and you bring it home and your parents find out, most of the time, I mean, some parents will bring you back to the store to return it, but then most parents are going to tell you that's wrong. Don't do that again.
Because you could get
You're
thrown
going to
in jail.
Right, you can get thrown in jail or you're going to be in trouble with me.
Unless you're in New York City.
But you're going to get in trouble with me and you're going to be
Right.
grounded. I'm going to take your phone or you're not going
Totally.
to baseball
Right. There's
practice.
consequences.
There's consequences. But
Consequences.
so most people are taught their whole life what is right and what is wrong. So when those people grow up and they see people that just do wrong, it morally taxes on you
Totally.
every single, like
Totally.
I said the other day,
Right.
every time I pay for the subway,
Right.
I feel like a jerk. Why am I paying and you don't have to pay? Like the time I got so fed up and I was like, I watched this guy steal food from Whole Foods. I was like, you know what? I'm going to walk out. And I tried to walk out. The security guard, she's like, miss. And I'm like, miss, what? He just walked out. She was like, he's mentally ill. I was like, so am I. Anxiety, depression. The list can go on. Like social anxiety. Let's go. Let's like bring out this, like the scale of mental illness. And she was like, no, you can't.
She's like, you'll get arrested.
I was like, wait, I can't, but he did. I watched him walk
and
out.
apparently you told me he does all the time.
Oh, yes. She said
Right.
that he does that all the time. She told me that.
How is that okay?
And I was like, yo.
That goes back to no consequences.
I was like, so I said to her, I was like, all right, I'll go back over and pay. I go to that Whole Foods at least 2 to 3 times a week. And I have seen so many thefts happen since this. We've been here a year now.
Right.
I see a theft every time I go. They just walk into the buffet and they just look like you would flip. Like, thank God you don't go there. They just load up. They shove you. I have seen them take the spoon out of this one guy. He was with his son. He was like, all right, don't do anything, son. He was like, they're animals. These people are animals. And I was like, how bad is it to look? How bad is it that that's what this person is teaching his son
Right.
because of what he has witnessed?
But at least they're stealing food. Most of the time, the people who do this don't steal food.
Right.
They steal shit that they could sell.
Totally.
So they can get other things that they
But
need.
also, again, though, at least I was stealing food and I wasn't allowed.
Right. All right. That's a good
So
point.
stealing is stealing is stealing is stealing is
That's a good
stealing
point.
is stealing
That's
is
a good
stealing.
point. Right.
I pay so much money to the government. There's food banks. There's shelters. There are programs that you can get
point.
free food. I already pay for you to get free food. And I have to pay for my food on top.
And you have to see that.
And I have to watch you take it. He took everything. It was Thanksgiving in his basket. And he walked out. And he just walked right by. So I was like, oh, I'm about to walk right by. And I told you, remember I called you? You were like,
Yeah.
don't do that again, please.
Yeah.
You were like, you don't need to be doing that. I was like, why not? And I was like, why not? So yeah, I mean, I feel like it's going to take like I said before, I did actually say this like 3 years ago. It would take 5 years to clean up the city, and now we're already into that time frame.
It's gotten worse. But we still love New York City.
Do you think it's going to get better at the next? Like, when is this election happening? For Mayor Adams,
2 more years. Yeah, he'll get reelected again.
Shit, he has 2 more years.
Yeah, he'll get reelected, and it's not him per se; it's the higher ups.
Yeah, at some point his hands are tied.
The DAs, the judges.
Yeah,
and, you know, so it's like
at some point his hands are tied.
It's just bad, right?
But I mean,
going on forever. They've
put this in place.
Made all these law changes
like 20 years
passed
ago.
These laws and
Yeah.
So
I mean, I don't know.
If you do the research,
I still love the city. I love that almost at any time of night I can go and find something to do.
Don't get killed.
Right. But like the vibrancy of the city, it's awake. It's always awake. There's always something to do. There's like a hustle to the energy. And I mean, but you also get kind of like so used to it. Like, I'm so used to New York. If you put me somewhere that's not New York, I would like put me in like a slower town. I get like 2 days there and I need to leave. I need to go back to New York. It's like I'm an addict of New York.
But it's definitely less safe than it has been.
Yeah, and nobody's talking about that for sure, 100%.
20 years ago.
Like, even during the day.
Yeah.
Like, you have to like step in front of me or whatever.
No,
like,
totally.
you have no idea. Right. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us on this episode of the Play Hard Look Dope podcast. We will see you next time. Bye.